This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are going to get a lot of insight today, and this is for any of us that maybe we're dealing with some stress, maybe some anxiety, maybe there's some pain in your life. Maybe you've realized that you've got some trauma from back in the day. Side note, we all do. The key is realizing it that you do and maybe admitting it. But those are the things that could be holding you back from living the life you want to, especially if you're saying, this is good, but there's more. I know there's more out there for me. Bring it over here. Bring it to me. Maybe there's a reason it's not showing up. We're going to dig deep into something today with a woman that's going to give you clarity. Chris Clearday joins us on the program. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Very excited for today.
Likewise, you have so much to offer. An amazing story that got you here in terms of wanting to help and heal people, specifically through this thing we call energy. As a Reiki master, you're a pastoral counselor, intuitive guide. I'm going to press the pause button right there.
Okay.
Intuitive guide. How do you define that?
Well, it's a combination of gifts, and I didn't plan on acquiring them. They just happened. So clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairtangency, clairempathy, what did I forget? Claircognizance. So they're just all there and I can rely on them. So sometimes I'll hear something, other times I will feel something. And so specifically, when I'm working with someone, uh, especially if I have my hands on them to do Reiki, clairtangency is just like overwhelming. Like I will know something and it can't be explained, but I know it and I'm sure I know it. And sometimes it's a combination of clairtangency where I'm perceiving through my hands and claircognizance where I'm knowing it and clairsentience where I'm feeling it. Like I can't even pinpoint which sense it's coming from sometimes because it's just so strong.
What you're experiencing, do we all have that?
Yes, for sure. Everybody has it. But, it's just for me, I've been doing this for 29 years now, and it is a well-developed gift. Anybody can develop this gift. Everybody does develop the gift of intuition. The more you trust it, the more it's there. It's like anything, I can draw, but I am not an artist. Or maybe I'm an artist waiting to happen. Like I love to paint, but I don't, mine aren't masterpieces. And it's the same with everyone. We can do it. It's just a matter of practice and trust. You have to trust that deep inside that the guidance that you're receiving is valid. And the more you trust it, the more it shows up.
I got you on that. I believe that we all have intuition, but the challenge is life, the distractions, the
Mhm.
devices, the schedules, everything that we can't just sit there and feel it and then start trusting it. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris, even in the last couple of weeks, I am dedicated now to trusting my intuition,
Mhm.
even if it's little or it's big. And many
Right.
times you feel something and you say, that's the right answer, but I'm going to go this way over here because I just want to see what's going to happen if I, go in that direction.
Right.
And then when you see the results, you go right back to square one. Well, you knew, you should probably just went over there and
Ah,
and pick that choice over there. Um, but it's also the trust and the faith in yourself and your intuition, right?
I think that self-doubt is the greatest obstacle to intuition development.
Hmm.
You get those gifts all the time. We're all getting those gifts all the time. It's like when I was young, I remember that I would be thinking about somebody and the phone would ring and it was them. And for quite a while, I kind of blew it off as coincidence, but at some point I couldn't blow it off anymore. Like there was something to that. There's a connection that we have with other people. And it's the same with the connection that we have to the universe. Like things come through when you're open.
I'm going to describe something that I'm feeling, and I want you to tell me if this is in line with what we're talking about. So,
Okay.
to your point, not about me, but I might echo what other people are thinking and feeling, but the whole intuition thing. I used to be more proactive. I'm talking prior to like 2 weeks ago because I've sort of had an epiphany, being honest
Okay.
with you,
Great.
in real time. That's why I'm bringing it up. Picture a bottle floating in the ocean, and the bottle, let's say, has arms and legs, and or you're just floating, and you pivot, and I'm going to go this way, I'm going to swim that way. Now I've just released it, and I'm just letting it go where it needs to go, i.e., listening to the intuition. Oh, you said that. From within. Oh, I'm going to go over there now. Oh, all
Mhm.
right, I'm going to do that now.
Right.
Letting go of all of it, and just floating. If you're going with
Yeah.
the flow, does that sound in line with what we're kind of talking about here?
Well, absolutely, because that sounds like trust,
I guess.
and it's trust, it's self-trust, it's trust in the universe, the divine, whatever you want to call it, God
Mm.
and source. And the more, because self-trust or trust is the opposite of self-doubt. And if self-doubt is the biggest obstacle to intuition development, then trust is the antidote. So the more you trust, the better. And I'm all for going. And I'm in the flow. I the other day I was running errands with my husband and we had several things to do and I had to get home for a session. I do all my long distance sessions from home, which is where I am right now,
Hmm.
with this little adorable dog. He wanted to come on the show. This is Kinder, and he's my true
Oh,
love. He's
I'm so envious. I want my doggy here.
I love when I can work from
Mm.
home. And
Yeah.
so Kinder does
By
all
by the
my
way, God, I can't ignore things. When they pop in my head, I gotta say them. You have a thing for red velvet or that color, that shade, and sure enough, puppy has that on. Love it.
I know, which is just a coincidence.
Yeah, there are no
It's
coincidences,
I
Chris. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. I got that at a swap. Like I didn't even pick that out. It was amazing.
Meant to
So
be.
so we were driving in the car and we had to go to my office to pick something up or drop something off, and then we had to come home and we had three dogs in the car. And I was a little pressed for time, but I saw a white Volkswagen Westphalia, the kind with the pop top, a 1986.
Mm.
I saw somebody sitting inside of it and they were parked. And so I had to stop. And my husband said, I thought we were in a hurry to go home for your session. I said, well, this is what I'm doing now. So, I mean, I had to stop and talk to the guy who had that car. It was exactly like the one I had for 18 years. And it was lovely to be in the flow. So I
You're
was
just adding validation to I bet you what many of us are thinking, even what I just mentioned before, in terms of trusting. In terms of trusting, you had that moment. There was a reason, and maybe it's someday it'll be revealed even further why your intuition said, "I need to stop right now. I gotta be somewhere. I'm gonna
Well,
trust what's
that
coming."
guy, yeah, the guy I talked to, he needed a good mechanic, and I was able to refer him to one.
You changed a
So
life.
it may be. It changed my life to see that old vehicle that I love so much. So,
Mm. It. I love talking with you already. It's like I sold a house a few years ago. I'm in between, market crazy, to buy now. And I volunteer in a group. And we went to somebody's house and they had some cancer issues and they wanted to redo their backyard. Me and 10 men went there and we just, shoveling mulch and everything, getting it all done and everything. And the gentleman comes up to me and he says, and this is in line with your car story. He says to me, "Thank you so much." He almost had tears in his eyes. "Thank you for being here and helping my family, make my wife feel so much better. She's going through things. I'm going through things." And I'm in the dirt. And I look up. I'm like, "Mm-mm-mm. Thank you for allowing me to be in your backyard because I miss it so much. I want to crawl in the dirt. It's my grounding. It's everything." He did it for me. I don't know if I'll do anything for him. Thank you for the opportunity. So I think it's kind of the same thing with the car situation.
Oh, definitely. I
Hmm.
go through life in gratitude. Like I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful when they're vulnerable with me and when they share and when we have breakthroughs. And I'm just amazed that I actually get paid to do this.
You're a change agent, aren't you?
Yes, definitely. And recently what I've learned or come to is that I can I can transform anybody. I don't have to do Reiki on them. Like Reiki is a vibration, and if you bring that vibration to a room full of people or a podcast, it goes out through the airwaves and it creates transformation. And that is a recent insight for me. I don't even have a word for it yet.
Neither do I. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think it goes back to the fundamentals of everything we do, music, the arts, paintings, whatever it is, there's an energy imprint in it.
Mhm.
Why do some things resonate more than other things? Why, there's a million artists out there, a million singers, only a certain few. It's not all about who you know. What about back in the day? Michelangelo, Van Gogh. Why are they popular still, but others aren't? I believe it's a certain energy imprint that they put into it. And same thing
Mhm.
with us talking here. People will find us because I believe they needed to.
Right. Yeah, I think
Mm.
so too. It's when you're ready for the lesson, it appears, the teacher
Yeah.
appears, the opportunity appears. And a lot of times we go through life not recognizing that the macro traumas, you call them big T traumas, I call them macro traumas, the big mama jammas, that
Mm.
those are actually the opportunities for the lessons.
I have so many questions for you.
Okay, well, we
I
have
love it.
10 segments,
I,
so take
I
your time.
love it. I love it. Um, I'm conflicted. So somebody recently told me that, and I've always believed that there's a lesson in everything. Somebody recently said to me, "No, you're not here to learn things." No, and I don't. I somewhat disagree, and I'm going to think that you might too.
Mhm. Is
Is
that the
this these?
question? Well,
I,
yeah.
Tell me about
Uh,
the lesson. There,
Okay.
even the adversity, there's a lesson there.
Here's what I think. So this is not a simple answer,
Mm,
but I think that ultimately the purpose of a soul's lifetime journey is to get back to the spark of life that you were when when the spark of life was bestowed upon you in the womb. And that was your true nature, your authentic true nature, who you were with all of your unique gifts and your special ways of being that make you different from everyone else,
mm.
but with no wounding, no trauma, and no conditioning, whether it was familial, cultural, or societal conditioning. So just the pure essence of you, your pure soul. So I think that our soul's journey is to get back to our true nature, and that the more we understand the deep down within us, our true nature is there. It is anchored in, it's in our cellular memory, our DNA. It's
Mm.
certainly all over our subconscious and even our unconscious. We're just not aware of it. And our goal is to get back to that. And there's a path to get back to that. And it's so much easier than most people think. I mean, I have a process that specializes in getting people back to their true nature. And it doesn't fail because it's a methodology. It works. And it's easy because your true nature is there waiting underneath everything else, all the layers of wounding and trauma, and especially, I would say, the micro traumas, the little ones that collectively have changed each person so much.
I want to go into your catalyst for change in a moment, but
Okay.
focus a little bit more on what you just said. And I agree. And I think all regards here that two babies born, forget about the culture, forget about the language. They're healthy. Let's just say that. They're equal. They're the same. Yes, they have different DNA and genetics and everything, but they haven't experienced this thing called life. And there's where I don't want to say it goes wrong, but there's where the challenges begin And what are those challenges? The traumas that we talk about. It could be, a life situation. Could be you got bullied as a kid. Could be your parents got divorced. Could be, you experienced the death of a relative when you were 5 years old and it made its mark. It's life. That being said, if we're here in the womb, like, ta-da, here I am. This is the best version of me. I got all this creativity. I can't wait to be born. Here it is. Why do we have to go through all this other stuff?
Well, I don't know. I think that life is inherently painful. But we can grow through the pain, and I think we must grow through the pain. I mean, we only have one choice in every moment or any second, which is to either be better or be bitter. And so we
Hmm.
kind of the imperative is that we must grow more towards our true nature than further away from it. And life will be painful. Traumas will happen. And, sometimes terrible traumas, and I'm certainly not trying to minimize anybody's pain. These are real. The world is suffering, and the suffering is sometimes just beyond, it's just beyond what we can imagine.
Hmm.
Some people are really traumatized. And I would say that the micro traumas, the little tiny things that happen, there might be, 1,000 of them before you're 6 years old. There might be 10,000 of them once you get more aware and take things more personally by the
Hmm.
time you're 10 years old. And those are the little things that change a person so much. They take them away from their true nature. And, there's a whole process that I have about that. So, but the goal is to get back.
Got you. And I love better or bitter. Wrote it
Yep, you
down.
need
I wrote it down.
nice.
And I'm
Either
gonna,
be better or be bitter. In every moment, you have that opportunity. And that means that we are completely responsible for ourselves, for our thoughts, and actually for our feelings, and actually for our behaviors. And when you put all three together, you have your perception. And that would be your outlook as well as your in-look.
hmm.
So, in-look is really important. And that's where I think that most of the micro traumas manifest dysfunction is in the in look, how we see ourselves. And then as children, we make stories up, and they turn out to be, they're pretty much always false narratives, that we're unloved or not good enough or undeserving or unimportant or unsupported or misunderstood, whatever it is. Everybody has their own unique way, but I would call that an addiction to suffering.
Hmm.
That's a whole other thing.
Well, yeah, victim mentality. I get you on that. But it's all a habit. You get used to doing it. You just keep doing it. You ride the victim train and then you talk to friends. I can't believe what happened to Nick. And what do? They just want to support. So what do they say? I know that's horrible. Look what I'm going through.
Right.
And then it just keeps building and
Yeah.
and you have more. I I I don't want to be bitter, but I go back to what you said. Like why do we need to have to go through all these challenges, or even as a child, the 10,000 things that presented themselves that molded and shaped us, when we were little, that really pilot us today?
Mhm.
What was the reason? What is the reason? Is it something we ultimately have to learn? Is it to look for the opportunity? How do you feel?
Well, I feel like it is an opportunity to learn and grow, and that a lot of suffering is actually optional. So I really believe this. Now, I would not walk up to someone who's having a really hard time and, try to enlighten them that suffering is actually optional. But if I could work with them, I could get them to the place where they would see, like I just did this yesterday with someone in a 3-hour session. She came in not understanding that suffering was optional. She left knowing that it was, and how and why, and how to get through it. So I think that there's a lot of suffering in our world, because most people do not understand that they clung to false narratives when they were a kid. and they were ultimately victims, but then they became victims of themselves.
Mm.
And I'm not blaming or shaming the victim. We have all been victims, but there's no juice in that. Like we can't do anything good with that. But what we can do something good with is that if we have ultimately made up these stories that we're unlovable, unimportant, whatever,
Yep.
then we ultimately have the power to tell a different story. And I think that children are suffering a lot in our world because the adults in their lives don't know this. And so one of my goals is to, help children understand that they don't need to suffer, like intercept the suffering early so that they stop making up these false narratives about themselves and help their parents understand that um, just with the unknowing of this is creates problems in and of itself. So the goal is to make a difference. And if I can work with corporations or
Sure.
organizations, nonprofits, schools, commencement speeches, whatever it is, then the word can be spread.
You mentioned before that you have a way to change things or a catalyst for change, um, to allow us to see things differently. We have a couple of minutes. How do we find out about that?
Well, um, you can go to my website, although it's not the greatest website you've ever seen, but it does a fair job of explaining what I do. And that's really more geared towards my therapy that I do. And I do the therapy from either from my office or from home. So I treat people in person, but I also treat people remotely all over the country, the world. We manage the time difference. And so we're on Zoom or FaceTime or Messenger video, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And but then there's the transformational speaking aspect, which is that I can make a difference without actually combining Reiki. Like people need to be lifted up. I can lift them up. So I'd say go on the website, chrisclearday.com, or give me a holler. I really don't love email, but my email's on the website. It's chris@chrisclearday.com. My phone number is 719-332-9226. And if we're on a different time zone, if I'm sleeping, my phone's turned off. Just call or text anytime. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what we can do with this, make a difference.
Absolutely. And the time is now. I feel that many of us are finally waking up, if you will, that there's more going on out there. And maybe we are guided by the planets. Maybe there's something happening here that we don't want to admit, but we can't explain it, but we feel differently. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go woo woo or deep here or anything like that. But you certainly are available to speak, share your message anywhere. Final thought I have here. I want to believe that when you work with somebody, even on the counseling level, that using intuition, it's almost as if you have a running head start in figuring
Oh,
out what they're dealing with.
I do. And also, I am not time limited. I'm in the flow. So I usually schedule 3 hours for every session. And that includes time for counseling, time for Reiki. You tease the issues up with counseling, you let them go with the Reiki, and then the intuitive aspect is just a major shortcut.
Love it. It's almost like it's CSI Clear Day. You got to get all the information from somebody, figure out, where they've been, where they are, where they want to go, and put all the pieces together, and then, which takes time, and then start the counseling, the healing, whatever needs to get done. Wonderful talking with you today, and just validation of a lot of things that, I'm wrestling with, trying to understand, like the rest of us. Um,
Right.
Refreshing. You are refreshing.
Well, thank you, Steve. It's so great to talk to you, and thanks for everything that you do to raise the vibration of the planet. You're doing a great job.
uh, with your help and very much so with your help because your vibration is fantastic. And give your doggy a hug. I miss mine. I'm gonna
I will gonna pick him up here in a minute. So, he
vibrationally, I'm gonna live through your doggy hug until later.
right, okay. Well, this dog is 16 or 17 years old. He
Wow.
has kidney disease. I've been feeding him through a feeding tube for 9 months, 3 times a day. And I'm just glad he's with me.
I am too.
It's such an honor to have this precious little angel. His name is Kinder.
Which, if you shorten it, kind, which you are.
Yes, kind and kin for relative
Relative.
and
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
little person. So yeah.
Well, much love and blessings to Kinder and to you, and looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you, Steve. I'll see you next week.
You got it. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.